Yes.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Karl Weiche, and in this video, again, I'm joined by my good friend Sebastian. Welcome, bro.
Thank you for having me. Always a blast.
Yes. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to scale past 50K a day on Meta. And Sebastian is going to share some of the media buying and creative strategies, right, to be able to spend that much money per day profitably. And then I'm going to share some of the strategies of how we build the offer, the landing page, and the product page in order to make sure that every single click to the page is really optimized and that you can increase your ROAS, your MER, and really keep that scale profitably. So yeah, I'm gonna give over to you, bro, to jump into screen share. I'm really excited.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a rather rough video that we're going to do today because these are like frameworks we actively use right now. So I didn't have the time to prepare some awesome slides, but you can bear with me because we're still going to drop the juice there. And in order to show you that we are not talking about something you didn't know, just a quick intro from our Meta Partner Center on one of the accounts where we have like 17.1 million in ad spend here. And to show that we are not only prolific on Facebook, I have some of 85 million in sales on Google here too. But this is not the topic. We want to go into the whiteboard here. And I want to show you basically how we scale not only to 50K ad spend per day on Meta, but what we do afterwards in order to sustain the scale even more. And I'm very excited to share the frameworks here because Meta is still, I think, if we look at our portfolio, we did 450 million in rev last year in our portfolio companies. Around 60% of the ad spend is still on Meta. So I'm more than happy to walk you through the ropes, how we're doing that there. And in order to crush it on Meta, and I'm gonna draw some awesome Meta slides here, is it's not like you are just raising the budgets from the stuff that's working, basically, because most of the work that is needed in order to scale to the amount of revenue that you want is done outside the business manager. And the first job we always do if you look at a brand, because most of the brands we're going to take a look at are already spending some of the money on Facebook. They're spending like 1K a day, 2K a day, 3K a day. And you can get to that point in a way where it's not very structured or optimized. But I really enjoy taking those accounts, like those hidden champion accounts, to like the high spending accounts in the niche. And what we're doing there is basically at first, we're going to take a look at the offer that is pushed in the ads. Because most of the time, you have a couple of offers there that are run separately. You're spending like $500 per day on the hero product. You're spending $200 a day on auxiliaries. You're spending like $200 a day on a weird loyalty program, but you can't scale that by just raising the budget. So the first step definitely is taking a deep dive and looking at which is the best product to scale at a high margin. And in order to get to that point, we oftentimes have to craft new offers. We shared that in our last video we did with KinoBuddy, basically, where we are not pushing just normal product, but we build like a bundle, like a challenge, like a Mojo Mastery Challenge is called, where you have like a couple of products that are linked together to an ultimate goal that you want to achieve. And we always do that once we take over a Meta ad account. So the first step is get a high AOV offer that is pretty much bred to be on Facebook. So that means taking like your hero product, thinking about which problems are your clients, are your customers trying to solve, and then deliver more of that. It could be selling like a bundled offer. It could be crafting a challenge onto it, or it could be taking the main product and putting like an info product next to it, or like a just more of the same, basically, if it's made to be consumed over a long period of time. And if you have that in place, every work that comes afterwards basically is getting angles that sell the offer in a way that is linked to the market sophistication of the customers that you want to sell to. So that means you 100% have competitors in your space. Like I'm pretty sure you always have competitors, no matter what you're selling. So if you look at your competitors, the angles that they're running on ads, the products that they're running, or like the messagings that they're using in the ads I want to put myself in the shoes of the customer. So that means if you are saying the same like anyone else in the market, you already lost, because then you're comparable to anyone else and you can't charge premium prices, because only if you would be like the most perceived high status brand, you could get away with it. Think about Apple and the iPhone. But most of the time you are not. So that means in order to charge more than the competitors, you have to have a higher perceived value than the competitors. And the easiest way to do that is to deliver marketing messages that aren't run by anyone else. So if you're thinking about, I'm selling, for example, a beauty product, just say it's like laser hair removal or something like that, like an IPL or like a shaving solution, that is basically just a normal razor, you have to think, which problems are they trying to solve? And if your competitors are selling it based on the product, just telling them, yo, we have a razor, we have like 100 blades, you can buy them, you're going to experience some scaling caps there. And what I really like to do is being like one step ahead of the competition. So that means in your offer, in your angles, you should talk about the concerns that the people have or the problems that they are still experiencing. So if we take the laser hair removal, for example, you could have an angle that basically means you tried everything under the sun to get your legs smooth for the summer. Yeah, your solution finally arrived. This is it. So you basically position yourself one step ahead of the competition, because you're not selling on the product side, but on the outcome side, taking into account that other players are selling a similar solution. So that would be the first angle. The second angle basically would be selling something to a very hyper-targeted segment of the audience. If you're, for example, selling barefoot shoes, and these barefoot shoes have a lot of competition right now, but if you identify that your best customer profile is, for example, vegan, or like you like sustainability, it would totally make sense to craft your offer in a way that these hyper-targeted niche of your customers finds it appealing. So if we would take the barefoot shoe example, and then you would have some marketing that accounts to a sustainability production process that you have, or like the reduction of microplastic in the ocean or stuff like that, you can for sure craft an angle out of that to position yourself different than the competition. And this is like the second angle I like to run. And the third is the massive social proof angle. So the second would be hyper niche. But the third one is the massive social proof that you can, to be completely blunt, make up in a way where no one knows that you're making it up. So if you try to get ahead of the competition and spend way more than them, you just have to look at, why should they be buying from you if they don't perceive you as the highest level player in the market, and then reverse engineer what is needed in order for you to be perceived as that. It could be for sure buying some advertorials or like some media placements on well-renowned sites. It could be buying like advertisement from big influencers that their name can be taken into account on the status side of your product. Or it could be having like an army of social proof based on the UGC side, authentic UGC, or like better content creators that can deliver it in a very authentic style. So if you have those three angles in place, I would dive directly into the creative production for these angles. So I'm not trying to make sure that I just have 20 different scroll stoppers in my ads at first. I would narrow it down to which angle am I trying to push in a way that is very mass appealing or hyper targeted to the niche that I'm running into. Because after all, scaling just means selling to more and more less interested people. And the only way to do that is to convince them of a greater mission that you're going after. So in your creative production, I know that you shared an awesome video in your on your channel over the last couple of weeks, where you were going into like the creative frameworks that you used, and I could just nod my head when I was listening to it, because this is exactly what we're doing there too. So it's basically having multiple creative styles, like having the UGC, having the product images, the product videos showcasing it, having some funny stuff, having some founder-led videos. And then I would combine that and craft them based on the angles that I'm trying to accomplish. So you're first of all determining the angles that you try to run, and then you're determining the style of creatives you want to run for the angles. And because we are not Nostradamus and we can't see in the future, we have to test multiple creative styles for that angle in order to validate an angle. And everything else besides that, like using different thumbnails, using different scroll stoppers, having like weird clickbaity stuff on there, is just after the fact, like in the creative pipeline. So once we have that in place, we end up with 1 to 5 angles that we can think of based on the competitors that we looked at and the market sophistication, and then have a couple of different creative styles there. And once we have that in place, especially for Meta, we are just trying to isolate every component of that as soon as possible in order to really judge the statistic significance of the test that we're running. So we are always starting with the test ABO, which is just a normal campaign with ad set budget. And then we're trying to charge like twice the AOV per ad set and have it grouped by angles. So we have the ad set angle 1, the ad set angle 2, and the ad set angle 3. And inside there, we just have our different creative formats that we try to judge based on that. Oftentimes you get the question, what if Facebook just spends the money on only 1 or 2 creatives inside the ad set? I'm not too concerned about that. I rarely seen Facebook completely neglecting the winner. Like you try to go by the 80-20 principle there to really find the hardest hitting creative there. And if you are experiencing that like one of the creatives gets the most spent and like 1 or 2 creatives aren't getting spent, you're basically just running a next, like a different ad set with just the creatives inside there that weren't getting any love, basically, in order to isolate them even more. And you end up with a campaign that just has multiple ad sets based on the angles that you're running, and after all, multiple creative variations that you have inside of the ad sets. And then you just let it run for a couple of days. Of course, you should have your tracking in place. You just know the stuff, iOS 14. I don't have to talk about that. And you just try to isolate the winners, basically. It's getting very easy here. And you're just raising the budgets every 3 days on those ad sets. Every 3 days, I would just raise the budgets at first by like 50%, and you can get more conservatively at a certain level of scale, because ad sets behave like a diminishing return curve. You have your start here. You can increase budgets rather hard up until the point where you have the best efficiency in your ad spend. And if you raise the ad spend too much, you're going to see some diminishing returns here. And the only reason why we're not raising the budgets by like 200 to 300% every day is because we don't want to try to shoot over the sweet spot, basically. So you end up with a couple of ad sets that spend after a couple of days like 200 to 500 bucks a day. So you're spending like 1.5 to 2K inside your ad account already, which after all is like pretty neat. But the biggest level of scale we always get if we just isolate the winners that we have inside here into like a best of CBO that just hosts one ad set or one audience, like the audience that was working at first, and just run a big budget inside there. So we have a campaign with 1 or 2 ad sets based on the winners that we had here. And then you crank up the budget on the CBO even harder. You still test new creatives here, of course. So every winner you find is going to get transitioned into the best of CBO. So you're ending up with 1 campaign, 1 or 2 ad sets, and up to 5, 6, 7, 10 creatives inside the campaign. And you don't worry about if someone isn't getting any spend. This is going to change once you have a certain amount of ad spend on there, because there are some days where one creative is spending and a couple of days where the others aren't. So you're just raising the budgets here. And we always do that every 2 to 3 days, to be honest, by like doubling it, to be honest. We start the CEO with like 500 bucks a day. We double it to like 1,000 bucks a day. And you can push those CBO here to like nutty numbers. Like we've seen 5K a day on the CBO if you made your homework in the testing campaign. So after a certain point, because your margins are shrinking and you try to either squeeze more efficiency out of your campaign here, or you try to scale more, but you can't spend more because you're missing the sweet spot, we always take the winning CBO campaign and put them into a manual bid campaign. Either it's bid cap or it's cost cap. The difference there is just that on cost cap, he's averaging, like the algorithm is averaging out the bid that you try to spend over a couple of days and weeks. So you have more leeway. And on bid cap, he's aggressively just being accountable to the bid that you're setting. And you have to run them next to each other to see which is performing better in your account, because the structure is exactly the same. So if I'm getting conversions for example, $40 a day or like $30 a day, which is fine for me because we have a product that is worth $100 AOV. We just set the bid on the bid cap for like $200 and on the cost cap for like $150 to $200 and raise the daily budget like very high, because Facebook most of the time is not spending everything of the daily budget that we're giving them. And this basically is the structure that we're running on Facebook. And it's very simple because it's not based on the media buying here, but on the offer and the unit economics that we have once we start like with a high AOV product. I mean, we did a deep dive video about that on your channel before. And I would really urge anyone to look at that, because media buying at that point gets easy because you're just trying to figure out which combination of like audience is like very easy. It's just a single interest or like broad targeting, but like the angle and then how the angle is communicated in the creative. And then it's just a matter of spend more money on it until it breaks. And if it breaks, you have to dig down and see if you need to test more creative to sustain the level of scale or optimize the stuff that is happening on your star afterwards. But we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. So recently, once we have this framework in place, and I mean, if you do a good job on the creative side, you can get to the point in like 30 to 40 days. We don't stop there, but we venture onto other platforms, because most of the buying behavior right now is not linear. I mean, you're operating in a dark funnel. People are seeing your ad on Meta at first, then they try to Google you, then they look up reviews on Google or on YouTube, and then they ask their colleagues, and then they're trying to go on TikTok to waste some time. And you should be accountable for not losing a customer in those perceived dark funnel. And I think over the last couple of months, we spend close to 3 million a month on different platforms like Taboola, Google, TikTok, everything you can imagine, just to make sure that we don't lose customers here. Because if you spend 30 to 40K per day, which is totally possible if you set it up in the very simplistic approach here, you're getting so much traffic and so much buying intent, or people who haven't thought about buying your product, that you have to be bulletproof on the customer retention side here. And the first step that we go after always is maximizing the Google basis. And the Google basis basically is just being everywhere where they're searching for you. It's having your shopping campaigns in place, it's having your retargeting in place, and then afterwards it's trying to consolidate everything by a Performance Max campaign, which I shared in our, I think, second to last video, where we talked about the media buying frameworks behind spending 164K per day of our portfolio companies. And there is no excuse in not doing this stuff. And we have the tutorials there in our e-commerce group. Short little fun fact, because it's very easy to set it up once you have traction in place on a different channel. So if you're spending 20K per day on the Facebook setup, you can easily get to 5K per day on Google if you just do the basis here, like just the typical basics that you try to cover here. And the beauty of running a offer optimized approach and not a media buying optimized approach is that you can utilize different platforms to the same offer to make sure that people are getting penetrated on multiple occasions. So what I really take pride in right now is we can get YouTube ads to work on high ticket AOV offers pretty fast, because if you are just taking the angles that are working here and you're catering them onto the specifics of the YouTube platform, which is basically just landscape videos. That's it. Like this is the most amount of customization you need to do. You can just transfer your assets basically that you use on Facebook onto YouTube, and you can see some awesome traction there because you already have all of the conversion data from the Google bases inside your account. So we are always just taking the best performing video ads, and if we can't get them to landscape mode, we include the best performing image ads, put them next to each other, and then we have a landscape video. Like imagine if you have two square creatives, you can put them next to each other and you just have a YouTube ad. Like it's really that simple. And then you push YouTube in a way where you are at first taking your winning keywords that you have from your search campaigns, brand keywords and competitor campaigns, put them into an intent audience, which is people that Googled your stuff in the past, and you can just clean up after the competition basically, because you're just getting a lot of people who are warm or like fairly warm, lukewarm onto your funnel that way. And YouTube has a pretty aggressive retargeting built inside there too. So you're really getting on their nerves. So afterwards, they are buying from you guaranteed. And the thing, once we start pushing that, and we had that on every client we work together basically, is at a certain level here, it's not one on the media buying optimization anymore, because of course, getting like Google to work, YouTube to work, Facebook to work, it takes some of the work on the media buying side. But what we really enjoy is running the traffic to like an optimized product page or like a landing page that you guys provide on our clients. And to be honest, I think the biggest game changer last year was working with you guys there, because if you take the stuff that works on a typical product page that is not optimized and it works like on a high level of spend, if you then try to optimize that, dude, like it's like Easter and Christmas on the same day, because you just get so much more money out of the clicks that you're buying that it's just silly to not do that. And in my opinion, I think the first step, and you can totally correct me on that and take over, but the order that I really like to do is first of all optimizing the product page, then turning it into like a hybrid between product page and landing page. And if that works, taking all of the objectives that the cold traffic has, and then maybe including like a pre-sale page that is not catered on the price to sell the people on the thesis why your product is awesome. So I think this is like the best hierarchy to go after there, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. So I'm gonna jump into screen share in a second just to show some examples of how we do that. Really quickly, just like one train of thought for like the whole optimizing the product page, optimizing the website thing. We did a video about this like a couple of weeks ago, right? The current market situation is really pushing brands to think capital efficiently. Some months and like basically the past couple of years ago, you could just like spend money, make a lot of money, and you didn't have to look at every single cent, every single dollar that you're spending. Right now, with the recession, inflation, the war, and everything that's like shrinking your margins and giving you a hard time as a brand, you gotta think, okay, how can I first of all, make sure that my capital is used in the most efficient way. And secondly, make sure that every dollar you put into the business has the highest ROI possible. So at the one time, you should obviously optimize creatives, media buying, offer, everything in the front end. Secondly, you need to optimize every single aspect on the website, being first of all, the product page. Secondly, integrating landing pages into the funnel. And then the third aspect that's also overlooked is retention, right? Only some brands are utilizing retention really, really well in terms of email, SMS, and especially communities to get like a high customer lifetime value. So what I would do, because I'm not an email marketer, I'm like the guy for CRO and product pages, I'm gonna jump into screen share right now and give you the best practices for the product page, and afterwards also show a landing page that you can be using really well for prospecting and top of funnel traffic. So one second, let me open this up here.
And I think it's a very, of course. I think this is like so key to understand like that at a certain level of scale, it could be 20K per day, but it could be also like 5K per day if you have like a pretty small audience, that you should totally take a step out of the realm that you are in and then try to look at like the meta perspective of that you're trying to sell people who don't know you.
Yeah. So let me go through the product page because, as Sebastian said, this is the highest leverage activity for you if you run your brand. This is where you should optimize first, and then afterwards you can go into the other steps of the funnel. For example, integrating landing pages, optimizing collection page, homepage, and all of that. So product page. The most important section on your product page is the first section. I like to call this section the above the fold, right? The first part, touch point that the traffic, the prospect has with your store. So really quickly go through this. Images, you want to make sure high quality images, happy customers that are displaying happy emotions. You want to make sure that it's looking really trustworthy. So for example, all of the reviews that you can see up here, all of the benefits that you can see here, the payment providers and all of that, and the product benefits down here. So basically, you want to make sure in this first hero section that the main value proposition is conveyed so that the audience instantly understands what's in it for me, why should I buy this product? And secondly, you want to make sure that you create the trust, right? You want to be perceived as trustworthy so that they're going to buy from you. Even if they think that the product is super amazing, but then they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So you have to make sure that both of these aspects are really dialed in. And then what you can see down here is exclusive offer. You want to make sure that you have a really, really great offer in the front end that's sexy for your cold traffic, right? So you can see here, you can buy one product for $35 off, which is already a great offer. And then we have the urgency here saying offers limited and can end at any time so that they need to buy now. And then also we have this exclusive offer saying, hey, if you buy 2 products, you're going to save $80, right? So this is the first section of the product page. And now just to kind of go over some of the next sections, what you can see here, and I'm also always explain some of the psychology behind it so you understand how to apply it for your brand. So first of all, we have insane social proof, right? So we have our 3.5 million happy customers. And then here we show different customer avatars so that every person that's visiting the site can resonate with some of the customers we are showing, right? That's why we are using these different avatars. For example, older woman, younger girl, and then like a man, right, that you can see here. You want to make sure that they are similar to the people that are mostly buying from you, right? If you're selling the shaver that Sebastian was talking about earlier, and you are selling that to like 18 to 24-year-old white girls, then you want to show some 18 to 24-year-old white girls in here, right? You want to make sure that it's really resonating with them and that you show customers where your traffic can identify with. Then what we always like to do is a unique section. So we make a comparison to competitors and tell them why we are the best and the only viable option, right? This is also super, super important because, as Sebastian said, the customer journey isn't linear. It's not like they see an ad, they go in your store, they buy or they buy not. They may see 2, 3, 4, 5 ads over a couple of weeks. They will go on Amazon. They will check out competitors. They will compare everything. So you got to make sure that you think of that and you tell them that you are the best option possible, right? So this is also super, super important. Then what we do here, we have the main value proposition. So the hoodie is like a giant colorful hug. And then we basically show different use cases of the product, right? Camping trips, cold mornings, movies with friends, evening naps. So we already tell them these are the use cases for the product. And then we have a section talking about the product benefits. And 2 things here that are really subtle, but super, super smart. What you can see is that we used an image of 4 friends together, which is already framing the audience and the traffic on buying multiple products so they can use it with their friends, right? This is super subtle in the image language, but it's framing them on buying multiple products and not only one product. And it's also giving them the idea of buying products for their friends, right? Secondly, what you can see in the copywriting, if I zoom into this, lovingly crafted from the best, most cuddly soft materials, made from toasty, warm Sherpa fleece inside and buttery soft on the outside, right? You feel like you're hugging 1,000 adorable pug puppies. We are using a story and we are using certain words that evoke emotions in you. So it's super easy for you to think of a situation. you can imagine super easily how it is to cuddle with that many puppies, right? And then we are evoking this positive emotion inside of you, and then we connect it with the product. And at the end of the day, humans are already buying based on their emotions. So if we create this positive emotion, they're more likely to buy this product at the end of the day. And then to kind of run it up, we have some more social proof showing a lot of UGC, more sections, this is pretty similar to this section, again, showing 4 people, happy family, future pacing them on the Udi is your new bestie. And then we have some other products to upsell them and then reviews, right? So this is the product page. May look pretty straightforward, but if you think of it, every single section on the product page is solving a certain aspect, right? It's handling an objection, it's building trust, it's evoking a positive emotion, it's framing them on buying multiple products. And do you want to make sure that you're treating your product page like a sales page, like a landing page? You want to really grab them and pull them into the funnel. You want to take them through a journey where they can experience the product and where they're going to be super, super hot at the end of the page and they really want to buy the product. So that's super, super important for the product page. Now, let's say you have built this product page, you've completely optimized it. I want to show you some examples for other pages. So I'm going to show you one example for a landing page that you can use, and then also one example for a homepage. One style of landing pages that I really, really like to focus on are these so-called listicle style landing pages. So these are perfect for prospecting traffic because we are not selling anybody. We just have a page talking about the main value proposition, the main benefits, and we build the trust, right? So you can use this for top of funnel traffic or sometimes for retargeting traffic, where it's more about building the trust with the prospect and then afterwards selling them. So the idea of this is super simple. We have a headline saying something like, discover where 3 million plus people are going crazy over this hoodie. Or something like, here are 5 reasons why every single girl is going crazy about this new skincare routine, right? So you want to give them the social proof and you really want to evoke excitement in them, that they're like, holy fuck, why does everybody know about this product, but I don't, right? You want to give them the FOMO that they're missing out on something super beneficial.
This is my favorite aspect of a Listicle. Like, I'm a big fan of Listicle that exactly evoke that. I just love to have like this subtle FOMO that anyone else seems to be into it and you're behind the curve. It's like the perfect framing in order to spend a lot of money on that.
Yeah, and it's working super, super well. So if you go into the super simple picture benefit. So you want to have like 5 to 7 reasons. And then at the bottom, you want to have the call to action, which is then pushing them to the product page. And then what we did down here, just again, kind of reaffirm the decision for the Udi, have some social proof, some PR, and then again, call to action to go to the next page, right? So super simple, super easy to build, nothing fancy in terms of design. So this is the Listicle style that you should be using. Then we have something that I like to call a Trojan homepage. What do I mean by this? Usually, brands are not really utilizing the estate of a homepage. They may have a banner, they may have a couple of collections and like 2 best-selling products, and then maybe like a small about us section. But they are not really utilizing the full potential of the homepage. So that's why I want to show how to do that. And let's get into it. So first of all, again, this is the hero section, right? So the most important aspect, again, is to get across the value proposition and then also build trust by the reviews, by the store benefits. And then you can see that here we have the main value proposition, most comfy hoodie on the internet. And then down here, we have an extended value proposition. So we show them longer, thicker, and better quality. A lot of people like this product, and then we kind of talk about the product and everything. So by just seeing this section, you're building trust, you're seeing the product, and you're understanding the main benefits of the product without having to scroll, right? So this section alone is already working magic. And now let's go into the next sections. Here, for example, what we have is the so-called trust section, because we are using press releases where huge magazines talked about the product. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're selling to a certain target audience that's spending 2 hours every single day reading women's health. And now you push an ad to this target audience, they go on the page, and now they see that their favorite magazine is talking highly about this product, right? This is working exceptionally well because it's building so much trust. And you as a brand can basically take the trust that your audience already has with this magazine or this press release or this whatever, and take it and use it for your brand. Then what we do, here we have this section called Discover the Bestsellers. Here, what you want to do is obviously analyze which are the most bought products. So you have a high likeliness of people actually buying the product, and you don't want to show any random product. Then we have a pretty similar section here to what we had down here on the Listical page. So again, why should you choose the hoodie? And then here you can see we have the same section that we have on the product page. What makes us different, right? So also when doing this, you don't have to have unique sections for every single page. You can sometimes use the same sections across different pages just to create the awareness and always tell them, we are unique, we are the best, you can trust us, and you're going to find no other solution. Sometimes we literally spam them. So for example, on like No Miss, where we are working together on, amazing brand, we are having testimonials and social proof on every single page. You open the menu, and at the top, at the bottom, you have social proof. Homepage, announcement bar, and under the hero section, you have social proof. Product page, we have multiple sections just for social proof and testimonials, right? So you cannot overdo this really. Now, here what we have is a direct unboxing experience from them in comparison to their main competitor, because a lot of people are actually thinking about getting it from this competitor. So we want to tell them, hey, listen, this is how you get it from the hoodie. And this is what it's going to feel like. And this is how long it's going to be and the quality. And this is how it's going to be if you buy from our competitor. So we can already, again, future paste them on this product is shit, you should buy this product.
I love this comparison. Like when I saw that at the first time, I was like, this is so fucking smart.
And it's also, again, like using UGC pieces from the community, right? Which is also, again, giving them the social proof. So it's just, yeah, I really, really like this. And yeah, then super simple at the bottom, again, we have the call to action section saying, discover your favorite hoodie design. And which is then again pushing them to the collection or product page. So yeah, have in mind, build a crazy good product page, having all of these sections, and I have a 1-hour video just covering that, which you can check out too. And then you really want to use landing pages, and you also want to optimize every single other aspect of your store, because just to like round this up again, you really want to make sure that every click you push to the page has the highest performance possible, because like buying the traffic is becoming more and more expensive. So you want to make sure if you already bought the traffic that you have a high earnings per click, right? That they buy something and they spend a lot of money with you.
100%. And I think this is like the main differentiator right now. It's like some of the guys that I talked to who are spending like a big amount of money, they stumbled up on like winning combinations by luck more of the time, but you can't hope for luck in that case. Like you really have to manufacture your own luck and striking gold on the conversion rate optimization side, I think. And if you're like a marketer and you're running your own brand, because most of the brand owners are marketers at first place and then become product owners, basically, they get like a good gist of it. But taking it to the next level and having like these compounding benefits of really optimizing that every single week and month is like over the next couple of 3 to 6 to 12 months, you could be spending like half of the amount of ad spend that you're spending right now and netting the same amount of revenue, which is an experience that we had with a couple of clients, to be honest, once it was done perfectly. So yeah, I think the awareness here is like super important to have that in place, and not having like an invisible hand working against you because you're not aware of what could happen after the click, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, bro.
Dude, I think I'm done. So thank you very much for having me. Thank you for bearing with my loose train of thoughts there. But I think it's like a pretty good recap of the main principles that we talked about over the last couple of videos. And if someone wants to dig deeper into like the main sections inside there, how to set up Google, how to set up Facebook, how to run your creative processes and stuff. I mean, we're giving it all away for free. Like, we have our group for that. And anyone who wants to really scale their brand to a level where it just makes sense and you can create like a substantial amount of wealth running ecom, you should be definitely signing up for that, to be honest. Like, it's not a pitch, it's just a suggestion from the bottom of my heart that if people want to scale their store, they should be joining like our group, because it just makes sense, because it's free and you can just take the value out of that for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link down below again. And that's why I enjoyed this video so much, and you're drawing it on a whiteboard and not having like fancy presentation slides or something. Because if you think of it, like the principles are pretty simple, but not easy, right? And this is also what we teach in this school community, that it's more about like really executing the most important levers, and not like finding some shiny objects that you can follow or like one crazy hack that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like figuring out what needs to be done, put some blinders on, and then getting to work. And I think this is a pretty good last word on my side.
Yeah, sweet. See you soon, bro. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.